For Unit 3, Lesson 6, we are writing chemical formulas with metals that have more than one charge. So, students will be able to write chemical formulas involving metals that have more than one possible charge. A little redundant there, but there's actually no new vocabulary for this lesson. So your first thought should have been, there are metals that can have more than one charge? How is that possible to get their full octet? Well, the answer is yes. Sometimes they can have more than one charge, and it's because most of the ones that do that are transition metals, which we don't really work with because they're very complicated. So there's more than one way for them to be stable. Okay? But there are a couple elements like tin and lead that are not transition metals, but can also have more than one charge. For example, if we look at copper, copper exists as a 1+ ion, and you can also have copper as a 2+ ion, depending on what it's bonded to. Some elements like manganese are crazy. They can have like 4 different charges. So the reason that we care about this is because we just learned that we can look at the charges to figure out the ionic compound. So when you have an element that has more than one charge, you actually need to specify its charge in the name. And so that's what we're going to learn how to do. So the skill I'm looking for you to have is if I give you a name like copper 2 chloride, can you write the chemical formula for it? So, you might think you can, but you're probably wondering what this means. This, my friends, is a Roman numeral. It means 2. So you need to know the Roman numerals. Write these down. This is 1. I don't think they even teach this anymore. It's like cursive. This is 3. And then 4, I actually have to always stop and think. It's a 1 and a V. Okay? That is 4. And then this is 5. It's a V. There you go. Those are Roman numerals. Scientists use them. So you need to know those. Put them in your notes. Okay, the next important piece of information. What does that 2 mean? That 2 tells you the charge of copper. Okay? You need to know the charge of copper because it can have more than one charge. That's why they're telling you the charge. So what do I know now? I know that I have a copper 2+. I know it's plus, by the way, because metals are always positive. And then I know that I have a chlorine, and I know that the charge of that is 1-. Now we're back to the same game that we played in the last lesson. Balance the charge until you have a neutral compound. So I need to add another chlorine here. Okay? And now I actually need to just write the chemical formula for it. I have 1 copper and 2 chlorines to make my neutral compound. So here, my friends, is the chemical formula. Alright, so if you think you get the hang of it, go ahead and try to write the chemical formula for manganese for fluoride. Okay, manganese is not magnesium, despite popular belief. They're different. Find manganese. Okay, you actually don't even need to find it. Go ahead and give it a try. Pause me if you need to. Okay, so what do I know? That tells me the charge of manganese. It must have more than one charge. It can have 4 different charges. Okay, so I know that I have a manganese 4+ sitting around next to fluorine, which has 1-. Now that, my friends, does not create a neutral compound, 4+ and 1-. So I need 4 total fluorines, all contributing 1-, because that creates 1, 2, 3, 4- and 4+. Go ahead and turn that into a chemical formula. 1 manganese, because I always write the positive ion first, and then 4 fluorine atoms. Alright, one more example, so go ahead and please try to write the chemical formula for tin 1 oxide. Pause me and try. Don't be a cheater. Okay, so this tells me the charge. So it's, and SN comes from its Latin name, SN, 1 plus, bonded to an oxygen with 2 minus. That's certainly not neutral. I need to bring in another 10 to give me 2 plus and 2 minus, which results in a chemical formula of SN2O1, and that's my final answer. I'm always a little hesitant to give you the most common mistake because sometimes I'm worried that it makes you do it instead of protects you against it. But I will go ahead and tell you the most common mistake when doing this is people think, oh, I have tin and I have one of them and then I have oxygen. And that's totally wrong. They mistake the one for meaning there's one tin atom or one tin ion, and that is certainly not what it's saying. So please, please, please don't make that mistake. So this ends another lesson, and I want to make sure that you are able to first write Roman numerals for numbers 1 through 5. That's pretty simple, should be in your notes. Could you tell me what the Roman numeral in a chemical name means? Hopefully you can tell me, yes, it means the charge of the metal. And then lastly, can you write the chemical formulas from a chemical name that has a metal with more than one possible charge? This is another skill where you could be writing down steps to solve these problems. It's not cheating, it's just taking good notes and being a good student. All right, so make sure you write those steps down.